Very well, in case you just joined in, you're watching Smart 24 TV. I am Rita Cavanyoro, and we are still discussing and assessing the oil and gas sector or extractions around the country. And discussing this with me is Robert Tumoisije, who is the coordinator at Publish What You Pay Uganda. And they're one of the organizations, or is even one of the people who is making sure at least there is justice when it comes to extractions, mining or oil, favoring the people and the society around the country. Before we took a break, we were discussing on how citizens or on how the locals around the country are being always overshadowed by different companies that come to do on the projects, different projects around the country. But this time, let's talk or take it on from the oil perspective or extractions. Robert, you were still telling us on what really is happening and what should be done around this area. If you could please continue.
Yes, as I did mention, the oil and gas sector is a huge business opportunity for the country. And if managed properly, it can change the country. And the fortunes of many businessmen and women would be changed if we manage it very well. So that's why we are saying that I think now it is not too late to work on the laws to ensure that now, for example...
So it is on the policies?
Yes, it is on the policy because generally we've been having investors coming to invest in different sectors in Uganda. In the banking sector, in the telecommunication sector, in the mining sector, and oil and gas. And now we have companies that are working in construction, where for the last 10 years the government has been it has been taking a lot of money, the budget for the country, for the different successive financial years. So you find if you are putting a lot of money in a sector, and people who are involved are only foreigners, that money does not trickle down. It goes, the whole of it goes outside. So that's why we are saying, if a sector has a lot of money, you have to make sure that you have to have a policy to ensure that the local population participate in that service, in offering those services, even in the business. Not only participation, but involvement and ownership of those businesses. Because at the end of the day, you will push a lot of money, because it's not about constructing a road. It's not about having an oil refinery. It's not about having the pipeline.
Yes,
the longest in East Africa.
Yes.
But you do not have a clear policy of how the local population is going to participate in that business. At the end of the day, the money will go out, the capital freight. So we are saying that the laws, the oil laws should be revised, but also the Public Finance Management Act should be revised. The company law should be revised to ensure that the participation of the local population, the participation of businessmen, the participation of women, of the marginalized groups, women, youth, is very clear on how they are going to benefit.
Okay.
Because we are talking about the problem of unemployment. How is this sector going to improve employment?
Yes, and as Publish What You Pay Uganda, are you working on something towards that to make sure you pressure the policy makers on that?
No, for us, for example, what we specifically promote is the issue. When you talk about Publish What You Pay, we are talking about, we are the people who have been promoting the issues of EITI. EITI is Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, which is a tripartite arrangement between government, companies, and the civil society organization. And we are glad that the government,
companies, and civil society organizations.
And we are glad that the government now signed off, which is under the Ministry of Finance. It is ongoing, and now we have the multi-stakeholder group, which is comprised of government, companies, and the civil society. Now we are participating. Now our issue is publishing what we want the companies to publish what they pay to government. And also, in turn, the government publishes what it receives from from companies.
So that the public gets
Yes.
to know what is happening.
No, we don't, because currently we have been having issues where the Taro and Total have been publishing what they are paying. Because even now we are making money from different taxes. These companies have been paying. So the oil fund which was created, it has been created for some money. So we want the government to publish what we want to compare what the companies pay is equivalent to what the government receives. But for us, we don't stop there. We want to know how is that money utilized. If, for example, the Public Finance Management Act says that money will be used for infrastructure. Now, if the government goes to Parliament to request for that money, is it really going for infrastructure?
So you again track the money, track the funds.
Yes. So our interest is in that financing. And so that's why we're also interested in the agreements. We want to know whether there is a fair deal, because everything starts on those agreements. That's why we're interested, because the EITI, the Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative arrangement, is that it was signed, I think, in 20th August of 2020, last year. Now, for us, our interest is, can all of these agreements now, if the government is saying that they cannot disclose the previous agreements which came before the arrangement of EITA came in.
And is that a policy? Why can that happen?
No, it is a policy because, as I said, EITI is an international arrangement.
Yes.
It is an international standard where different countries have signed it.
My issue is on government not disclosing.
Yes, we are engaging with government, and recently, someone went to court. I think Malema went to court and he was asking for the contracts, and the government, I think the Solicitor General responded that these agreements are not going to be disclosed because they contain some parts which should not be.
Your phone is vibrating. You could please silence it.
Yes. So for us, what we are saying is that we are engaging, and I'm glad that the Minister of Finance says they're engaging the Attorney General to explain to him these arrangements. Because if we sign it to the Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, which is an international standard that promotes transparency and accountability in the sector, that is in oil and gas and mining, you have an obligation as a country to make public those agreements. So those secret clauses,
they should go public.
They should be removed, and then we say, because if we don't, you are doing business on behalf of the people, because the government, that we have the constitution previously, before it was amended, it used to say that natural resources, oil and gas and minerals, the government keeps them in trust on behalf of the citizen. But now they changed it and they said natural resources, I think natural resources, oil and gas and minerals, the government keeps them on behalf of the state something. So they changed it.
On the state, because
but the issue is,
why this is coming.
Yes.
I do not want to be picked around here, but I can say what the concern, and we are watchdog as media. Government does some over the agreements, and then later it puts on the resources, because we have seen countries do that. And I do not think Uganda is one of the countries that might, blink an eye on that. No,
I think the question of secrecy, maybe the one who is interested is, should be the businessman.
Okay.
The businessman, maybe he has some secrecy, he doesn't want his fellow competitors to know. But these companies, like Taro, in other countries, they are disclosing.
Okay.
Now, if they are operating in Ghana or any other country and they are disclosing, now you can't tell us as the country and begin saying you cannot disclose this agreement, because what is that secret part? The secret part should be the business deal.
Okay.
How this money is going. Maybe he has, I don't know if he has some rights. There is some component he's trying to keep, business part which he is making money. But if this businessman, this company is making public these agreements in other countries, then now for us we put to task the government and say, now what you are telling us is not true. These companies disclosing everything in other countries. Now, for you here, why are you saying there are
Why
these
are
other
we
parts that should not be
limiting?
disclosed?
Yes, please.
So I think the engagement we are having now is on that side.
Okay.
Yes, we have our members. We have our 6 members, no 5. Substantive representatives from civil society on the EITI board, but we also have the proxies. So we have our members who are engaging with government to make sure that those things. Now, I think now there is also going to be a policy on disclosure, because if you are entering a standard
A deal or an agreement.
an agreement, then you have to have regulations, guidelines on how you are going to review, to make public those
Yes,
agreements.
and good luck on that with pay what you sorry, it has skipped
The
my name.
EITI, yes.
Yes, good luck on that. But which also drives me to, we have seen some countries that are dealing in oil, that are rich in oil, but actually remain poor and remain, not people, the citizens not having opportunities, or really they are poor, living under the dollar. We do not want the country to go that way. I do not know if there are lessons that are being learned from different countries. Libya, we have Malaysia countries. What are some of the lessons that we can take up as a country not to go that way as we head into our exportation of oil?
I think what you are talking about is following the law. Because if you want the people to benefit, you have the laws, you have the procurement laws, which talk about how people should do business. So it shouldn't be that we have some individuals who are benefiting and other people are not benefiting. So there are 3 things.
Isn't that happening as we speak?
What can I say? Now the practice should be that what we are talking about is having a fair deal from companies. That is number 1. Because as I said, the companies are putting in their money to do exploration.
Yes.
And eventually they are also putting in money to do this on the pipeline and other things. So what we are saying is we want a fair deal. Actually, for us, we sought views from the public, and we have what they call oil and gas and mining manifesto, which we think that the government should be looking at. So we are saying that the citizens need to be part. We need to know what is happening. So when it comes to doing business, and especially when it comes to the issue of the agreements, we proposed that when it comes to doing agreements, we have been having a raw deal in most of the contracts. We shouldn't be having only 2 people to negotiate on our behalf. Maybe we have 2 people from the Ministry of Energy, we have 2 people from the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. They are negotiating a deal, and we don't know. We are saying, why don't we have a committee which is comprised of retired civil servants, retired judges, retired PSCs, who can now, when it comes to negotiation. In America, for them, when they are going for these international meetings, we find they have a team of 20 people coming to negotiate. Now for us, we have people who have retired, judges, PSCs, commissioners. Those people have wide knowledge. So we should be constituting a team to negotiate on our behalf, not people who can be compromised. Because if you send it to people, they can say, oh, how much money are you giving us? And the government, they get to have a raw deal.
And in most cases, it's them.
Yeah, so what we are saying is 1, on contracts. Then 2 is that law, the content, the National Content Act, how citizens are going to participate in that business. Not only participating, involvement, participation, and ownership. How are they going to participate? How are they involved? And how are they owning that business? So that all that money the capital does not fly from outside the country. Okay. Yeah. So then the other issue is really having respecting the laws, and that is now about the politicians, the president, the ministers who are overseeing the sector. Not saying I'm appointing you. No, appoint people who are qualified, but also let the businesses become competitive, as we are saying that now the forces of demand and supply. Let people who really have the capacity to do business, but people will also build the capacity, what you call the affirmative action. There are people who have ideas, but they cannot start. For example, we have been proposing, is there any way that government can put money, for example, in UDB, if you want to do mining, so that you can access that money. If you want to participate in oil and gas activities, is there any bank, is there any commercial bank, is there any circle, is there money in these development banks that citizens can get? Because you know why, for example, the Indians and Chinese, for them, they do business here. Most of the businesses in town are owned, but the big businesses and the industries and factories are owned by them. Do you know why? Because in their home countries, they can easily access these cheap loans. They access these cheap loans and they come here to do business. So we are saying, is there any way, instead of looking at only foreign investors, we also build the capacity of the local businessmen and women to access credit, to be able to participate in these lucrative businesses of oil and gas?
Very well. Credit is there. It's about now the interests that are very high.
No,
and people do not
it's not there. It's not there.
Maybe for oil and gas.
Yes, we are saying, for example, in mining and oil and gas. For example, they are saying they are putting in money for agriculture. There have been some money in, for example, in the Centenary Bank, where you can access an agricultural loan. But there is no bank in Uganda where you are saying, I'm going to do mining and I'm going to access money. So people have to either sell their property or they have to borrow, saying they are going to do something else and they put it in mining. But we are saying, can there be specific credit, specific grants for those people who are participating to be able to participate and do business in those lucrative? Because we know mining, oil and gas, those are very lucrative businesses. But there is no way local people can participate when they are not supported. And
I appreciate that, Robert. Are there any indicators that you're reaching out to being a success in all what you're advocating for or what you're tabling out to the government? Are there any indicators?
Yes, the indicators, one of the indicators is we are talking about the EITI. The EITI, Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, is a good idea because, you know, we are talking about government, companies, and civil society sitting on the table and discussing these issues. So I think that's a step forward, where because you know, even when you're talking about investment, you need to have transparency and accountability to attract investors. Otherwise, if you are operating in an opaque way, then you don't get, you only get, I don't know, do I call them fake investors or but if you are doing your things in the public, then you get these. The investment climate is good. You are going to get credible investors who are going to bring in their money and the country benefits. So the EITI is a plus on behalf, on part of civil society, of government and companies. So we hope that Uganda will not be dismissed from the EITI. For example, we are talking about the civic space. If you are doing business,
you still have a vibration.
Yes. We are talking about the civic space. We need to have, for example, NGOs operate freely. Like, for example, the recent decision from the National NGO Bureau to close NGOs. That was not good, because you cannot wake up tomorrow and say, I'm closing a company. Under company law, there is a way, there is a process of winding up a company, of closing a company, called winding up, where you have to go to court. Because this company has got property, it has got workers, it has projects running. You have to put into consideration all of that. You don't have to wake up and say, because the law says that you can close, you don't have to rely on one law, because there are other laws. And you have to look at you have to look at the constitution, you have to look at the company law, you have to look at human rights issues. So the civic space of citizens participating, because one, you can participate through association, you can have an association, you can have a company, you can have so all of those issues we're talking about. The civic space should not be seen to be dwindling. You have to, for example, the issue of Facebook being closed for some time, and we need, maybe, I don't know, people who have been engaging the president. We need people, especially young people, to engage.
Here is saying it shouldn't have just, closed because they
Yes, Yeah, you don't simply close, and
Okay.
because there
Because
is a
you're the
political
president
issue.
and
No,
you
yes,
can
you have the
order
powers to
something.
close,
Yes.
but now we're talking about civic space.
Okay.
Because if they are assessing, you look at how are you the media, how are you handling the media, how do you handle the civil society organization, how do you handle the politicians, how do you handle people who are bringing out those issues, and then we are talking about transparency and accountability. We are talking about everyone being online. For example, if I want to start a company, I want to know its funding.
It is because you have
All of
misused
that.
the online opportunity, the Facebook online opportunity. That is what government felt like you have.
Yeah,
misused.
that's why we need a candid.
So there is no
we need a
engagement
candid
of you
discussion
back. I just-
because I've seen, for example, people putting very many stuff of NRM. Now, if the president should know that every day they are putting his activities on Facebook, because he has a team of young people who are promoting the NRM ideology, and they are using Facebook. So you don't wake up and close it the next day. Yes, we know there are bad things, but now what we have to do is to have a spirit of the nation. Now, this spirit is not about enforcement. It's about, if I'm a Ugandan, am I part of this development you're talking about? For example, I've been talking about the issue of people who are going outside.
For labor,
For labor
export.
Yes, labor export.
Yes.
Now, if you
There are
cannot,
other companies
yes,
as
if you
well who are
cannot, if
closed,
for example you
which were
cannot
closed.
employ me, and I want a passport, why should they pay 500,000? Passports should be free. All these people who go out for chair, they bring in a lot of money. Even when you don't want to come back, you must send the money home. So I should feel to be part of the development you are talking about. If I cannot access the job, then I should be able to be facilitated to go out. If I should be facilitated to register a company, I should be facilitated to communicate.
Okay.
Now, if I'm part of that development, this issue of using over this propaganda goes, because people feel they are part of that development. But if they are not, that's why you see there is a lot of negative publicity. But for example, if you go
I
out,
think, Robert, the country needs really more people like you. And which takes me to speaking about development, because time is not really good on our side. Let's talk about how we can achieve a good exportation plan for our oil or for our extractions. Looking forward to that. How can we achieve it as you continue speaking on development?
now there is already a plan by government. I think you already know that there is a plan of the East Africa crude oil pipeline,
Yes,
which is
please.
the longest one, I think 1,400 kilometers from here to Tanga in Tanzania, which will be taking crude oil. But there is also another plan to construct a refinery to refine some part of the oil here. So those plans are good because for us, there have been two schools of thought. There are people who are saying oil should remain on the ground. And there's another school of thought, because there are people who are saying that since oil is coming from a fragile ecosystem, where there are national parks, there are waters, international waters like Lake Albert, some people are saying let it remain on the ground. But there's another school of thought which is saying yes.
What do you mean remaining on the ground? I feel like when you say remaining on the ground, that means not being extracted.
Yes, not being extracted. Now, the another school of thought is you get this oil sustainably. One, you make sure that you conserve the environment. You have what they call biodiversity monitoring. Your monitoring plans are very well. You have a way of making sure that you are not going to contaminate the waters. You have the closure plans, because this oil is a finite resource. Between maybe 20 to 30 years, maybe 50, this oil will no longer be there. Now, when it is not there, how are you going to leave those holes you have dug and what? So for us, we are part of that group that is saying, yes, we want this oil to come out. But one, you should get it out. You should respect the environment. You should have good agreements with these companies. And then you should have a plan of citizens benefiting. So you should have a sustainable plan for the nation. Not few individuals benefiting, as you are saying, in some other countries like Angola and some other countries where you hear that some particular individuals are benefiting, but not the whole country. So for us, we are saying, yes, we want this oil to come out, but we want it to benefit each and every individual in the nation.
Okay, and we know, and surely it should really come out. I don't see a reason why it should remain unextracted, yet other countries have extracted and they have maintained the environment. If really the policies are in line, why not?
Yeah, and that's why, for example, for us when it comes to our engagement with the financiers,
As we conclude.
yes, with the World Bank and the other international banks and the financiers who are interested to put in money, we welcome it, but we are ready to engage with them, especially on those arrangements, so that we get a fair deal, and also so that those people who are involved in implementation, they follow the guidelines they have set they themselves.
Okay. Any last submissions? Just in seconds.
Yes, Uganda is a country gifted with natural resources, oil and gas and minerals, forests, waters. We should use these things sustainably for the benefit of each and everyone. There is no reason why any Ugandan should be poor, or why Ugandans should be sold as slaves when we have natural resources here. We need to manage them very well so that we all enjoy, not few individuals enjoying and benefiting.
Very well. Thank you so much for having come through around Smart 24 TV. I'll let you go. Blessed day for now. And in case you just joined in, we have been discussing and assessing the oil and gas sector in regards to our extractions, mining, and surely oil. And Robert here has been discussing and also advocating for some of the issues happening in our different societies where the oil ops are. And my name is Rita Kavinyoro. Sonko, Joram Paul Sonko will be on your screen shortly with sport. SNB continues around here.